Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Izzah and I would like to present my assignment 1 for Quran Sunnah and Built Environment subject. So the objective of this assignment is to relate our design of our house and also the neighborhood to the total planning doctrine. So in Surah Al-Fatihah, based on Surah Al-Fatihah, it actually shows us how to achieve Madinah, which is a city for total submission to God. And the city of Madinah signifies the Islamic pivotal or principle that man is vicegerent on earth and has not been created except to abide to Allah's rule and order. So in Surah An-Nisa ayat 88, so what I can get from this ayah is that we as a human need to build our own Madinah, and as an architecture student we need to design a house or building that is based on Surah Al-Fatihah. So from Surah Al-Fatihah, the constitution of Madinah was created, and it has brought us to the concept of total planning doctrine, which divided to three aspects, which is a relationship between man and the creator, man, and also man and the environment. And this total planning doctrine that implements Al-Fatihah will reduce social ills and degradation to the environment and human life. So in Surah Ar-Rum ayah 41, what I can get from that ayah is that we as humans or we as architecture students, we need to design something that would not harm the nature, but in fact we need to design something that is responsive and responsive to the nature. So the concept of total planning doctrine is divided to five philosophies, which is comprehensive, man as the focus of development, multidimensional activities, qualitative and quantitative changes, equitable utilization and distribution of resources. So this is a site plan of my house. My house is located in Seremban Negeri Sembilan, and as you can see, my neighborhood consists of many lots of residential areas, and my house is actually near the highway. And then this is my ground floor plan and second floor plan. My house is actually a double-story house. Moving on to the principle and the relationship between man and man that I can find in my house, the design of my house. In terms of respect for knowledge and conscious of the creator, every bedroom has a corner to study. Like right now, I have like a chair and also a table so that I can study comfortably. And in my neighborhood, there are few surah or musalla so that the residents can pray together. And in 5-kilometer radius from my neighborhood, there is a mosque where people can go pray together, as there are lots of activities carried out there. And there are lots of educational institutions in my neighborhood, like kindergarten, primary school, and also tuition centers. And people can also learn religious studies there, like kafa, for example. And there is a mini garden around my house with lots of edible plants. And not only we can appreciate the nature every time we go out of the house, but we can always remember that Allah is the one who allowed the plants to grow. And then there are lots of openings in my house that allows natural lighting and also cooling. And through the openings, we can also have access to observe the nature around our house. And in terms of justice, every bedroom has a space specifically to pray. And all the toilets inside my house does not face the Qiblat and are placed at an appropriate place where it is hindered from people's vision and to avoid unpleasant odors. And all of our family members have to eat together each time we are having a meal, so that we can have some family time together and share our stories and opinions together. And we also have a curfew so that we need to go back to our home before the Maghrib prayer. And in a 5-kilometer radius from my neighborhood, there are lots of stores and stalls that would provide food resources and basic needs. And there are about 3 musalla in my neighborhood, and also 1 mosque, which give easy access to the residents to attend prayers. And then there is also a playground and recreational park located near my house, where the residents can spend their leisure time there. And convenience stores and also petrol stations are provided to the residents. So in terms of compassion, As you know, Seremban is the city for Negeri Sembilan, and it has lots of residents. And my neighborhood that consists of a few residential areas can fit in quite a lot of people, and the facilities there could facilitate all of the residents' needs and give them easy access to various accommodations. And the mosque here, which is the Masjid Datuk Kelana Petra, is one of the aesthetic buildings that are available here in my neighborhood, which also become one of the landmark in my neighborhood as it attracts a lot of visitors there. And it also carried out a lot of interesting activities for the residents from various kind of age, so that people would visit the mosque often. So in terms of trustworthy and credibility, the position of my house is quite appropriate as it relates to the sun orientation, where we have walls at the west and east to block direct sunlight, and at the same time provide enough sunlight for my garden. And then there are mosques, musallas, and also temples near my neighborhood. And up until today, it doesn't cause any disturbance to the residents. And all of the residents can pray peacefully according to their religion. And there are also residents who do gardening around the property. And there were no reports as the residents are responsible enough to plant on their property and respect other rights. And there were some complaints actually about the open burning that have been made by some residents, and they are responsible enough to take action by stopping the action immediately. And there were also complaints on that there was some trash that were left unpicked by the authorities, and unfortunately, the authorities took action as soon as possible. So, what I can conclude here that they actually listen and accept the public opinions that leads to a better living environment. So next, in terms of unity, there are 3 living rooms where my family can sit around and spend our time together, and there are no separate walls between the dining room and living room, so that the space would look wider and so that our family members can interact and bond with each other. And we actually hung several pictures of places that we have traveled together as a remembrance of all the happy memories we had together. And we are not allowed to hang pictures of living things. Next is the principles of the relationship between man and man. In terms of respecting privacy and division of space, in Islam, it is a must to segregate between brothers and sisters. And in my house, there are 5 bedrooms and also 1 master bedroom, which provide enough segregation for my family members. And also there is extra room that can fit in, that can place the visitors so that the visitors can sit in. And there are also 4 bathrooms so that my family members can use the bathrooms without any disturbance. And most of the windows in my house are tinted. As our house is a bungalow terrace, there are houses besides and also back of our house. So to prevent from our aura to be seen, we install tinted windows. And in terms of value of encouraging interaction and acquaintance, there are 3 living rooms so my family can bond, interact with each other, and there are no separate walls between the dining room and living room. And we would always eat together during breakfast, lunch and dinner so we could spend time together. And then the playground and recreational park encourage people to interact and bond with each other. And the mosque and musalla there had increased the interaction between residents as they always pray together. And then in terms of peace and security, we actually installed a few CCTVs outside our house so that we can monitor our house to prevent any undesired incidents. Like before this, a few years back, we have like a robbery. So that's when we don't have CCTVs. But now that we have CCTV, we can monitor our house more. And then in terms of respecting the rights of individuals, our neighborhood that consists of multiracial residents and different religion respect each other's religions as they would not like question the azan, for example. And then the residents who do gardening would not plant on others' property as they respect the neighborhood's right. So in terms of cooperation, sensitivity, and mutual respect, me and my neighbor actually often visit each other's house if we have any celebrations like Eid or birthday parties, and they would not serve us like pork or alcohol. Instead, they would serve us halal foods instead, as they know and respect our religion. And our neighborhood also have like spring cleaning every 2 months, and the residents would help each other and at the same time tighten our bonds. And in terms of consultation, the residents always voice out their opinion in order to maintain the peace and harmony of our neighborhood. Like in the WhatsApp group, they would like always voice out their opinion so that we can live more harmoniously. And then my family always share our opinions and stories together, and I would always discuss with my family if I ever have to make a hard decision, so that I can think more rationally with the help of their opinion. So for the principle of relationship between man and environment, in terms of cleanliness and beauty, the mini garden that I have at my house provides relaxation, and I also have a beautiful koi pond which became one of the attractions to my visitors, and they would always sit there and admire the beauty of the pond. And the responsible authorities would come twice a week to my neighborhood to collect garbages to maintain the cleanliness of the neighborhood. And my dad or brother would trim the grass twice a week in our lawn to maintain the beauty of the lawn. And in terms of preservation of the environment and sustainable natural resources, my neighborhood actually is surrounded with many trees, and the residents refuse to cut it off as they want to preserve it. And in terms of economic and effective use of resources, there is actually a water filter installed inside my house so that we can drink the clean water without any hesitations. So from the analysis that I can conclude, my house is actually fulfills the total planning doctrine, as I scored like 25 over 25. And in conclusion, from the analysis, my house has implemented Al-Fatiha, as it has fulfilled all of the concepts on the relationship between man and creator, man and man, and also man and environment. And I also noticed that living in this neighborhood is really peaceful, as there were rarely unfortunate events happen. Like a few years back, I have a robbery in a few years back, like a few years back, I have a robbery inside my house, as there were no CCTV installed back then. But now, as there is CCTV installed, we can monitor our house from unexpected or unwanted events from happening. So I think that all of this happened because my house has followed the total planning doctrine that implements the Al-Fatiha. I think it is proven that by implementing the Al-Fatiha, we could achieve the total planning doctrine, and also Medina, which is a city for total submission to God. So yeah, that is all for my presentation. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum.